On this episode, we speak about retraining your brain. A lot of us are responding to life as our younger or even broken self. There is a space in time where we become more aware of our power to choose our reality by co creating a new normal. Listen in as we discover ways to shift our thinking and experiences forward and upward, right here on LifeClub.
I'm Tashima Jones. Welcome to LifeClub. I genuinely believe personal development unlocks the door to the abundant and wonderful life we all already have. I also believe we must be intentional about seeking out that life in order to find and fulfill it. I am so grateful your journey of discovery has led you all the way here. Let's keep moving forward together. Once again, welcome to Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. I absolutely just love being here each and every installment for a Life Club with you. So thank you guys so much for tuning in, for supporting, and for just rocking with me on this journey we call life. So keeping in step, keeping in tune with our 1 minute of meditation of reinventing oneself, we are going to speak about retraining your brain. Now, memory plays a huge role in how we behave and in how we believe. Like a sponge, memory takes hold of our experiences and the things that we're exposed to, creating a storehouse of activity and responses. We learn directly and indirectly throughout life, and with each lesson, we construct a blueprint for how we maneuver and engage throughout our day to day. Our focus will be on memories, behavior, and again, retraining ourselves to live in a new normal. Now, if you're an avid listener of Life Club, and if you aren't, you should be, you would know that when you know a definition of a thing, you are better equipped to use it properly. So, digging and diving into this idea of memory, the etymology or the origin of this word memory is mindfulness. And what mindfulness is, what in my definition of it, would be our stream of consciousness, the thoughts that we are meditating on daily. I like to think of our thought life as this like parallel universe. And as we are maneuvering throughout the natural world, there's also this invisible spiritual land that we all live in. You have to understand that your reality is totally different from my reality. And if we are all on this same stream of consciousness, those realities can truly coexist in harmony together. But a lot of us don't even recognize the reality in which we are living in, and it really takes place between your ears. So memory, when we look at memory and when we think about it as mindfulness and when we think about it as this storehouse of experiences that we have lived through, overcome, been exposed to, enjoyed, and maybe not enjoyed, we can then start to see this picture of what we look like on the inside, that image that we have on the inside. It's truly just a conglomerate of the experiences that we had, the relationships that we've been exposed to, the things that we've seen, the things that we have not seen. And to dig even deeper into this idea of being a sum total of our experiences, more importantly, it's how we respond to those experiences that truly, truly, truly make a difference in our lives. So one of the things that I have come to know is that you don't wake up at 18 or 21 or however old you consider adulthood, beginning. you have to recognize that you don't just wake up at 18 and become an adult and be this like fully functioning human being able to just do your own thing. Literally every moment in our lives, even the moments that took place when we were in our mother's wombs, have an impact and an influence on how we think and how we behave. And oftentimes, especially in adulthood, we are taught to basically put on your big girl panties or man up and move forward. And unfortunately, although that may seem like a really easy process, when you ignore the childhood and when you ignore the experiences that really developed you over time, and this doesn't even mean necessarily, it's not only designated for childhood. What happened yesterday impacts you. What happened 6 months ago, it impacts you. It influences you. It has an influence on your judgment. It has an influence on the decisions that you make. It has an influence on how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you see the world at large. So one of the things I tell Justice, my son, when he is making decisions is, how do you want to look back on this moment? How do you want to remember this moment? How do you want to store this experience in your memory? And when we all are able to really step back and take a moment before we make decisions that we have some time to really meditate and ponder and think about, if we were to ask ourselves that question alone, how do I want to remember this moment in a day, in a week, in 6 months, in a year, in 10 years? How do I want this very moment to exist in my storehouse of memories, in my storehouse of thoughts and beliefs? Once again, our minds, it's an amazing wonderland that I am grateful to have questions about and be able to actually discover, and any one of us can do that. But it's a really magnificent space and place that I don't think we necessarily tap into for our everyday lives and for our everyday activities. So in each and every moment, we are creating a memory. Each and every moment, we are creating memories. And with memory playing such a huge role on our future and the next moves we make, I truly believe it is an important thing to cherish it and to take care of it. And again, it's not necessarily the experiences that you may be going through or the things that you're exposed to, but it's how you respond to those things that you have full control over. Yes, certain things happen that are out of our control, but the control that we do have is how we respond to those things that do happen. How do we respond to the people who may impact or influence our lives in a good and a maybe not so good way? How do we respond on the job, at school, when we're in the street? How do we respond in our personal time with ourselves? And I'm going to dig into that a little more. But I definitely want to drive this point home. Every single moment of every single day, you are creating memories. Just breathe on that. Let's have a hashtag #CLOW on that real quick. Every single moment, you are creating memories. One of the people I listen to often is Will Smith, and one of the things he said is that oftentimes people are in a space of mental anguish, meaning they are depressed about something that happened in the past or anxious about something that's happening in the future. But in that moment, 9 times out of 10, there's nothing happening except for the mental anguish that they're experiencing, most oftentimes silently within their minds. So the key, the call, the goal is to relieve somebody else's mental anguish in that moment. We all know we can be in a room filled with people, music, having a good time, but on the inside of us, we are battling something. And that could just simply be what you're cooking for dinner, or that can be even greater as to how am I going to get food? How am I going to get the money to get the food for dinner? It's one or the other. So you have to truly take stock of your memory, truly look at your experiences for what they are and how you've responded to them, and be mindful of the thoughts that you are holding on to, because those very thoughts become your beliefs, and those beliefs manifest themselves in your behavior, and so forth and so on. So every year around my birthday, I do I look back, I reflect on just my journey, and my thing at 36 has been, oh my gosh, I'm 4 years away from 40. And it's funny because this is the 40th show. And every year I look back and I reflect at where I was, or who I was, who I am now, and I get excited about who I can become. And the same is true for our everyday lives. We can literally reflect on the day before, or even that evening of that day. Reflect on that very day that you're existing in, and looking at the things that you've experienced, looking at the things that you've overcome literally in that day. A lot of us, we go through a lot in just 24 hours. So if we were able to stop waiting for when the ball drops, or stop waiting for your birthday, but if you were to sit yourself down and just reflect over your day and think about the things that you've experienced, and express gratitude for the loved ones that you have in your life, and the good things and the favorable things that you've experienced in that day. And then look at what I like to call the lessons, the things that may be a little challenging or a bit of a struggle in your life. Look at those things and say, okay, what did I learn from this? Or how could I have responded to this differently? And I truly believe this will literally change your life like in a day. You talk about change. You can literally change your life in a day simply by how you reflect on the things that have passed. And if you implement that on a regular basis, your tomorrow will be so much better. And I truly believe you'll have a better sleep. So again, memories, being mindful of, just think about your mind as this capsule, this time capsule, just storing all of your experiences, both in your conscious and your subconscious mind, and think about those things. And what is it that you're meditating on that you haven't even grasped onto? Oftentimes we let thoughts just roam around in our minds and not really do anything with them. We may have some low vibration thoughts roam around without taking them captive. And then we may have some really, really amazingly wonderful ideas that we're not acting on or meditating on long enough to find a breakthrough in that area. So whatever the frequency of your thoughts may be, I challenge you to start looking at them and reflecting on them, and getting rid of the ones that don't necessarily profit you. That is so vital, so important. And one of our shows, we spoke about surrender and this idea of letting things go. And oftentimes it's like, well, how do I let things go? How do I take thoughts captive and remove them from my mind? And this idea of surrender to me is letting go of one thing and receiving something else. So if you have low frequency thoughts, receive one of high vibrations so that you can indulge yourself in that so much more, to the point where you just forget about the other ones. You let them go, you release them. But releasing something is really hard, or I haven't found, an image of how to release one thing without grabbing hold to something else. It's like if you're in the middle of the water and you're holding on to like a tree limb and you're just there, and then this lifeboat comes by and rescues you. You have to let go of that tree in order to grasp the hand of the person who is saving you in that boat. So I've definitely been applying that idea, that picture in my life, to where it's like, if I feel like I'm gravitating a little more to something that doesn't profit me, I do my best to find the exact opposite, something that is good and pure and of good report, and I grasp onto that thing. And before you know it, you forget about it. So again, memories, take stock of your memories, see what the thoughts are that you have on a regular basis, and just really look at them for what they are and keep those things that are good and profitable and release those things that aren't. So, we are speaking about reinventing yourself and retraining your brain. It is so important, so vital for us to take stock of our mind. It's just beautiful. Like, our mind is beautiful. And too many of us are living outside of our minds. And I just want to get you in tune, just ready for everything that life really has to offer you. And that's really the idea behind Life Club itself, is to hashtag fix your life. Too many of us are walking around here just oblivious to the greatness that is not only on the inside of us, but that also exists in our natural existence. So we talked about memories and how important it is to just be mindful of the memories that we're creating, being mindful of our responses to the experiences that we go through and the things that we expose ourselves to. Now, it's one thing to walk down the street and catch wind of a conversation, or, just see something that's happening in somebody else's reality. But it's totally different when we choose to expose ourselves to things that are not profitable. So, too many of us take more care of our business than we do our personal lives and our personal development. Too many of us are chasing the bag when we really need to be chasing our thoughts and understanding what's going on within ourselves. So we talked about just the power of memory and how it really lays the foundation and the blueprint on how you conduct your everyday life. And speaking about conduct, we are diving into behavior. So when we are retraining our brains, oftentimes we can start within, but we can also start on the outside. Sometimes you have to push yourself physically to do something, to change a behavior, to change how you do things in order to change your mind. And these things are happening simultaneously. They're happening all at the same time. And it's like some things in my life I'm working on in meditation. Other things is just like, you just got to do it. You just have to do it until your mind follows suit. So again, when we know the definition of a thing, we are better able to properly use it. And when we think about this word behave, it is a combination of be and have. And to be is to embody. It is to exist as. And to have is to possess something. So when we are conducting ourselves in certain spaces and places, we are a being on the inside, that invisible person that we cannot see, but we experience every single day when we interact with each other. And then this concept of possessing something. You possess your actions. Nobody else does. Even though we blame certain things on certain people, or blame certain things on society, or blame certain things on different industries and all these other organizations and the infamous they, we have to take responsibility for the way in which we conduct ourselves. And part of that problem is this idea of not understanding your power to have self-control. Too many of us are trying to control everybody else in our sphere of influence. We're trying to control everything else. We're trying to ask for, or make other people change to suit our pleasures and to suit our image of what they should be, instead of focusing on that personal development and that being on the inside. And part of it is a lot of us are #not woke. I get it. And hopefully Life Club will wake you up to this reality of your power to act, your power to produce, your power to behave yourself. You have possession of the being on the inside. You have the power to choose. We go back to the Matrix. which pill are you going to take today? It's your decision. Now, again, I always have to say that a lot of things that we experience are not in our control. So it's not even about controlling the circumstances or controlling the experiences or even controlling the things that we expose ourselves to, as much as it is our response to the things that are happening. Because the more you start to respond to certain things and you are mindful of your decision and your intention to respond to a thing, that's when you start to see the experiences take a shift. That's when you start to see things change in your life. You start to see people change in your life. You start to see your zip code change in your life. You start to see your bank account change in your life. You start to see the health of your relationships and the projects and the things that you're putting your hands to shift based on that response, based on being equipped with this truth that you have the power to control yourself. To be is to embody, and to have, aka have, is to possess. So take ownership of your conduct. Take ownership of the things that you say. Take ownership of how you respond to things, whether you're responding to your child or you're responding to your spouse or you are responding to your boss, or if you're responding to your employee, your teammates, weather, everything. How are you responding to a rainy day? Take a deep breath on that. How are you responding to a rainy day? Like literally, it may rain. Or how are you responding to the cold? Or how are you responding to the temperature? Like, how are you responding to that? Because again, if you're an avid listener of Life Club, you know that our emotions are energy in motion. So whatever energy you're putting out there, you are creating your atmosphere, and you are influencing the people and the things that are coexisting with you. So how are you handling your emotions when you have a negative, I don't like using negative or positive, but we went into like this idea of the battery. So there's some, context behind that. But I like to, or I'm starting now to look at my emotions, not necessarily negative versus positive, but low frequency versus high frequency. Hashtag vibes don't lie. They really don't. And I truly believe that our energy in motion, aka our emotions, are just shedding light on our thoughts. So if my energy shifts, I like to go back. Okay, what was the last thing that I thought about? Or what was the last thing that I heard? And how did it impact my energy within? You have to be mindful of your thoughts, because your thoughts become your beliefs, and those beliefs become behavior, and that behavior produces something. We are truly vessels, and you have to be mindful of the seeds that you're planting on the inside of you, starting in your mind. Now, yes, you will have thoughts that come and go, but the seeds that really take root are those seeds that you meditate on, that you chew on, that you think about over and over and over again until it hits your emotions, and then your emotions causes you to go into a certain direction. And again, this is good or not so good. It operates the same. So be mindful of your thoughts, because they truly impact your behavior. And when you understand how powerful you are as a spiritual being, and when you understand that you have the choice to act or react in a certain way, when I realized that the word create and the words create and react are made up of the same letters, it was like, oh my goodness, aha moment for me, because you have the power to create a situation or to simply react to a situation. That's a whole nother show. But the moral of the story is, when it comes to your behavior, is understanding that whoever you are on the inside is going to manifest itself through your actions. So, number one, you have to be, because who you are is what you are going to reflect. So be mindful of that. Be. Work on the being on the inside. Develop that person. Reinvent that person. Educate that person. Love that person. Counsel that person. Seek wisdom and enlightenment for that person, that being on the inside, so that you can take possession of your conduct, so that it will be the thing that manifests your hopes, dreams, and desires. Take ownership and authority over your mind, and your body will follow. I wanted to speak about learned behavior because this is so important, so vital. A lot of us are doing things and we don't even know why we're doing them. It's because your grandmother did them, your mother did them, your father did them, your uncle did them. So all you're doing is just imitating the people that, may have had guardianship over you, or you're imitating the person that you see on your block, or you're imitating the shows that you're watching, or even the music and the artists that you're listening to. You have to understand that learned behavior is so powerful. So start to ask yourself, well, why am I doing this? Why am I choosing to go here? Why am I choosing to listen to this? Why am I choosing to watch this? Why am I choosing the friends that I'm choosing? Why am I choosing the relationships that I'm choosing? Why am I choosing the job that I am choosing? So forth and so on. Again, a lot of behavior is simply out of things that we have learned. Remember, your memory is taking stock of everything that you're experiencing and being exposed to, and that is transforming into this blueprint upon which you act out and conduct your life on. So there are some things that we're just going to have to unlearn, aka surrender, aka let go and grab on to something new. So a few of my tips on just developing a new normal or unlearning learned behavior is, again, it's the same thing that I've been saying, didn't change. Your words. Be mindful of the words that you are speaking forth, whether it's about yourself or about somebody else. Be mindful of your words when you speak over your experiences and the relationships that you have or the things that you already possess. Be mindful of those things and speak #life over those things. And then your actions. Remember, it can go inside out or it can go outside in. So start to shift your routine. And again, if life is good, it can always be better, because there are really, really happy people out there in the world. And like I say, I'd like to say I'm one of them. So be mindful of your words. Be mindful of your actions. Shift your routine. If you wake up, if you've been waking up at 6 a.m. for the past 5 years, wake up at 5 o'clock and see how much more you can get done with that extra hour. And then your beliefs. All of these things are tied in together. So be mindful of your beliefs. Remember, your beliefs are an extension of your thoughts, and your thoughts are basically, and I haven't really unlocked that code yet, but you better know that when I do, I will share it with you, because some thoughts just come out of nowhere and it's like, okay, where did that come from? Some good and some not so good. But just be mindful of your beliefs, and that is the system that is built around your memory and how you've responded to things in the past, and also the things that you've experienced and have been exposed to. And then I always like to say that none of this is possible if you don't acknowledge that there is a spirit realm among us. Invisible. I mean, I can sit here and not say anything and have a whole entire conversation in my mind. And to me, that is proof that there is something greater than what it is that we can naturally see. So again, tips to unlearning learned behavior is shifting our words, paying attention and shifting our actions, being mindful of our beliefs, and just acknowledging that there is a spirit world among us, and it truly gives birth to every single thing that we see in the natural. I wanted to wrap up with this idea of basically retraining your brain. So it is so vital, so important for us to just look at how we learn as human beings. When you look at a child, growing up, learning how to tie their shoe, learning how to write their name, learning the alphabet, learning, dances, reading, all of these things are just, is the child being exposed to something. And as we as adults teach this child, or that child just being aware of what's going on in their space and in their environment, and hearing things over and over and over again, and then taking that, interpret it in their mind, and then starting to practice it over and over again, this child is evolving. This child is growing. This child is not only growing, but just exploring the world in their space and where they exist. And the same is true for adults. I don't understand why we think when we get to a certain age that we either know everything or there's nothing new to learn. I don't know why that's okay. I do not endorse that at all, because the person who thinks they know everything knows nothing at all. So it's so important for us to really become students of life. And I truly believe that this is how you retrain your brain. You have to level up. You have to be curious. You have to ask questions. You have to discover and explore things. And I'm not saying random things or fun facts. I'm speaking about the being on the inside. Too many of us are trying to get a boo or a bae and we don't even know ourselves. So how are we trying to go out with somebody and learn about who they are? You have to understand that learning never ends. And when you allow yourself to take that approach, and when you allow yourself to become a student of life, you are effortlessly retraining your brain. You are effortlessly reinventing yourself, and it becomes a way of life. It becomes AKA or hashtag your new normal. And one of the major things that I've learned about this idea of normal, or this idea of reality, is that from childhood, we are truly existing in somebody else's reality. And whether it's age or wisdom, whichever one comes first, we are made aware of this truth that we too can co-create our reality. So if you are unhappy, if you are dissatisfied, understand that that shift that you are seeking is on the inside of you. I am challenging everybody who's listening to this right now to do a little bit more daily, whether it's 5 more minutes of meditation, whether it's 5 more minutes of reading, whether it's 5 more push-ups or 5 more miles or 5 more dollars that you spend or 5 more hugs and kisses that you give to your loved one. I challenge you to start to level up, aka reinvent, aka retrain your brain by doing something, whether it's a spiritual practice or something in the physical and natural, to shift your life upward. Because again, the change that you are seeking starts on the inside of you. Understand that we have the power to conduct ourselves, aka behave ourselves in a profitable way. Remember, you are creating memories in every moment, in every day. And if you can take a deep breath before you make that choice, before you make that phone call, before you spend that money, before you eat that food that you probably shouldn't be eating, ask yourself, how do I want to remember this moment? You can unlearn learned behavior. There is hope. I'm so grateful that I am one of the many people that I'm sure can deliver that message to you. Let's just take a deep breath. Hashtag Selah. So, once again, we have been talking about retraining your brain. We focused on memories, we focused on our behavior, and we focused on creating a new normal. You have the power. Again, like this is like if you don't leave this conversation, this show, this lesson without anything else, understand that the power on the inside of you is so great, and don't take it for granted. Remember, this week, meditate on reinventing yourself and then choose to do 3 to 5 more of whatever it is that's going to help you get to that next level, whether it's physical, spiritual, in your relationships, in your finances, or simply in your love walk with yourself. Once again, you have been tuning in to a Life Club with me, Tashima Jones. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you were here with me, and for that, I am truly, truly grateful. You can find me on tashimajones.com. All of my social media and contact information can be found there. Until next time, remember your greatness. Talk soon.
I am Tashima Jones, and you've been listening to Life Club. Thank you for tuning in.